All right, we are live. Thank you to everyone who is coming to enjoy this wonderful conversation I have with Coach Dave himself, um, hailing from the Santa Clarita area. Um, how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I just took my dogs to the groomers. They're getting washed. Their nails are getting
That's
clipped,
awesome.
and hopefully they'll smell good when I bring them home.
Fantastic. Good smelling dogs are a good thing. Um,
Exactly. How you
so
doing, bro? How you doing, Prophet?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty
Yeah.
well. I'm just having a good old time. I've got a dress shirt on, so I'm not doing too bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I did not
yeah,
even notice that, man. You didn't
yeah.
put that on for me, did you?
Huh? Oh, no, just, you know,
Okay. All right.
I wanted to feel good.
Because I got my
Um,
Bernie shirt on.
yeah, there you go.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen this shirt? It says
Yeah, well, I've seen the
A New Hope, and then The Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi.
I love that he has an orange Hitler
Yeah, I
mustache.
put that orange Hitler mustache on him.
Um,
You
so
don't mind if I smoke, do you?
no, go ahead.
It's not going to bother you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Do do you. I want everybody to know you as you are. So, um I'll take this opportunity to introduce the episode. Today we're going to be talking on progress in action, about how people can get involved in activism, how people can um, make change in their local community, make change on a state and national level, and how people who are already a part of organizations and groups can reach out and increase their numbers and involvement, and their effectiveness. Um, I'm so glad to have Dave Barlavi here with us, talking about this subject. He's an extremely intelligent person, and to be able to put a lot of these things into like a real life context, I think I couldn't be talking to anybody better for that. Dave, just
Um,
so
you
everybody,
need to borrow some money or something, bro? Because you buttered my bread really good.
possibly. But Dave has done. Dave has been involved in politics for quite a long time. Currently, uh, well, he founded the Chamber of Conscience. He's an elected school board member. He's a member of the Democratic Alliance for Action, and many, many other things besides that. Um, so I'm so glad to have him with us, and it's a really, really cool opportunity for all of you to meet this great activist. So, Dave, tell me how what inspired you to get involved in activism, just as a general opener.
Well, you got to go way back for that, man. I was in college, and honestly, I don't know which one came first, and you could probably Google it. No, I think it was the Iraq War. It was the Iraq War that really, the first Iraq War, like George Bush Sr.
Oh,
And
HW.
yeah, yeah, and we protested that. I was at UCLA, and we took over Murphy Hall, which is the administration building, and we had a sit-in, and it was about 300 students, and we took over the whole place. We closed it down at about 2 in the afternoon, and we spent the whole night there. Later on that night, around 9 or 10 o'clock, Woody Harrelson showed up with a guy in a wheelchair. He was wheeling a guy in a wheelchair in, and it turned out to be the actual person from Born in the Fourth of July. You know that movie?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember the actual guy's name, but it is the actual like Marine from that, and he wheeled him in, and they spent the whole night with us. And we were just in Murphy Hall, administration building, and then in the morning at about 9 o'clock, they called it an unlawful gathering, unlawful, yeah, and they gave us an hour to leave, and we didn't. So UCPD came in and acted like the Gestapo and pulled us out by our hair, by our thumbs, by our feet, and they broke a girl's finger, and that was my first experience with fascism, and how they just they don't care about what you're trying to say; they just want you to stop saying it. And I think that's pretty much where it started. It kind of went to the next level during the after the Rodney King beating, when I started organizing actual protests against the police. And one of the coolest protests we organized back then was when they moved and I'll stop at this one, I won't tell you anymore, but when they moved the trial to Simi Valley, we heard that the Klan, the actual Ku Klux Klan, was going to get on horseback in full regalia, and march down to so we organized about 200, 300 people, and we stood in front of them, and we held them off about a quarter mile from the courthouse. And we had a standoff with the Klan in their robes for about 2 hours, I think it was, an hour and a half, it was a little more than 2 hours. And the cops were on both sides of us, and we were all screaming and yelling at each other. And they finally gave up, and they turned their horses' asses around and left.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh? And I've organized dozens and dozens of fairly decent protests from there, and rallies, small ones, impromptu ones. So anything
So
you need
you
to know about
engaged. So you engaged in some really early Antifa action
Yeah,
before Antifa was popping here.
before it was as popular as is now, we were doing Antifa stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
And we didn't
fantastic.
even know it. Hey, my grandson opened the garage door. Let me close it real quick.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. You can have a little bit of dead air.
Oh no, dead air.
I know, but I'm here. I can totally hear you.
Okay, so
But I'll tell you
essentially,
why. It's because I'm smoking, and if I don't close the garage door, it'll go in the house. But go ahead, man. Sorry about that.
yeah, no. That's called being responsible with your vices.
That's called not having your head chewed off by your wife. Chuna Bubba. Okay, close the door because I'm in a meeting. Close it all the way. Sorry, Prophet.
Yeah, no, you're good, man.
Do you have this kind of problem with other interviews? Grandkids coming in.
Oh well, I hope so, because I only had I've only had Wade so far, and he doesn't have grandkids, but
That's
I
cool,
hope
man.
to have as
Cool.
yeah, I hope to have as many real life experiences as possible, because a really important thing about activism and highlighting activists who I revere is that I want to make sure that people understand that you're a real person. You're not some elite, you're not some unreachable, untouchable individual. You're just a guy who really gives a shit about the community, cares about those who are underprivileged, cares about the least of these, if we want to talk about a religious aspect. Correct. And you do something about it. And so how do you I mean, you're a small business owner in a law firm, if I'm correct. And how do you still, how are you, as somebody who's engaged in that, able to find the time to be an activist, and how does that impact your day-to-day life?
Well, first of all, how do you not find the time? Because these are really important issues: protecting undocumented immigrants from ICE, um, Black Lives Matter, keeping abortion clinics open and safe for women, uh, making sure that LGBTQ youth are safe, and caring for their wellness, and making sure people aren't abusing them. I mean, you got to make time for that stuff. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But practically speaking, I have a very good staff at my office, so I can do a decent amount of activism uh, while getting the work done. So, but
That's fantastic.
yeah, and sometimes you have less staff, sometimes you have more staff, and that's fortunately, when you have like a more abundance of staff helping me at the office, I can do a little bit more. But then also the reverse is true too.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're on a day-to-day basis and you're getting involved and you talk to people who agree with you, but like on an issue, but they don't see the need of getting involved, or uh, they don't think they have the time. What advice could you give someone who really cares about, like, let's say, the immigration and ICE? Uh, they believe in eliminating ICE as a concept, or um, something along those lines, but they just don't think they have the time, or they don't think that they can actually do anything of value. How do you convince them to get involved, and what do you encourage them to do?
I would say I can't really help from their perspective, because I don't know what each individual might need to get involved. I know it takes a good heart, it takes empathy, it takes time, and it takes courage. It really does. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to become an actual activist. I'm not talking about just giving money or going to a meeting, but getting out on the streets. It takes a tremendous amount of courage. But from the activist perspective, I'm sorry, from the organizing perspective, I think the best approach is build it and they will come. Build it and they will
Mm,
come. In other words, don't worry who's coming. Don't worry how many are coming. Your devotion and your passion for it is already enough for anything you want to do. So just do it. And what happens is, organically, people will see that, and one person will come, three people. That's how I did Black Lives Matter in Santa Clarita. Years and years ago, when uh, Colin Kaepernick was just starting to take a knee, I would stand on the corner all by myself, a busy corner, holding a BLM sign. And I did it week after week, and I would put it on Facebook, and I'd say, I'm here from here this time to that. And I would post pictures, and I would say probably 7 different times I was out there all by myself. But I was never discouraged, because I knew what I was doing, what I needed to do. But guess what? The 8th time, 2 people showed up. The 9th time, 6 people showed up. And then we had a regular basis of a good, decent amount of people showing up. And then, of course, after the murder of George Floyd, we had the largest Black Lives Matter protest, or any protest, in Santa Clarita, with about 1,200 people. Actually,
wow,
1,200 people on this side of town. There was another 400 people on the other side, and we joined forces. So I would say combined, we were probably in the 1,500 person range. But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
that was unimaginable 10, 15 years ago out in Santa Clarita. But you just remember, you build it and they will come. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting in a room by yourself, over and over, or if you're standing on a corner by yourself over and over, build it and they will come.
That's an amazing perspective. Do you think that um your belief or your spiritualism influences that kind of devotion when it comes to a particular issue and believing in it, that like you're using like a big biblical phrase, right? Build it and
Is
they
it
will come.
build it and they will come? Is a biblical phrase?
Yeah,
I thought it was from that
Noah.
baseball movie. Isn't it from
No,
that baseball movie?
no, that's Noah and the
Noah's
Ark.
Ark? Oh, is that from
Yeah,
the baseball movie? Got it from Noah's Ark.
right.
I never
Yeah.
knew that. I just learned something new. No, it's not. It's not spiritual. I totally meant from the baseball movie. What was it called? The Field of Dreams? I'm
Oh yeah,
totally
yeah.
talking about.
Well, I mean
Yeah,
that whole movie was about angels, wasn't it, or
it
something?
was, but I never. I mean, it totally makes sense how it was from Noah's Ark, but I never connected those dots to right this moment. No, it's not spiritual. I am Jewish, and I'm also an atheist, but I'm traditionally, culturally very Jewish, and but no, it's not from that. It's
Okay, yeah.
That was
No,
funny.
I was just wondering because you're using this phrase, and I'm like, maybe no,
I
that
didn't
Ark is.
know what I was doing. That was comedy. That was
Yeah, no,
comedy.
that's great.
Thanks for giving me that.
So but I do really enjoy the, because I'm kind of like you. I'm like atheist agnostic, have Jewish and Catholic influence. Um but what I do like the concept that somebody who believes can build off of their ideology, or from their ideology, an activist mindset. I think that gets really underplayed because religion is often owned by the right wing, in America at least. And um, I think that it really undercuts a lot of the messages that we get from Jewish tradition, a lot of the messages that we get from Christian tradition. I mean, Jesus Christ was a brown Jewish socialist, and yet um, we get inundated with white capitalist messaging from a lot of these Christian traditions here in the U.S. So anytime I can highlight, a religious connection to what we do on a daily basis, I do try to discuss that.
Well, for me, I know some people can get. I think what you can get from religion is courage. You get courage from religion, and that means if you can derive your courage from your religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, you can actually get out there and do stuff that is it really tests your ego, right? However, other people like myself, I derive my courage from empathy. It's
Right.
mostly putting myself in other people's shoes and saying, what would I want me to do if I was in that other person's shoes? Would I want them to stay home and watch TV, or would I want them to come try to protect me and stand up for me?
Wow. That's deep. That's very
Sorry,
profound perspective. No,
I don't mean to get too deep on you.
no. I don't swim in the shallow end, my friend. So um the the once you feel that way, once you have joined an organization, started an organization, started an activist movement, um obviously you say the phrase "build it and they will come." How can you build something to encourage more people to come?
First of all,
How can you? I mean, because if you just build something, maybe one guy will show up. But how can you turn that thing that you've built into something that gets 30 people to show up? What's that process?
I would say make sure it's fun and exciting and not boring. Make sure that people can participate. It's not just something people come to look and sit there and be bumps on a log. That is very participatory. And also make sure it's real. It's for a good cause that you believe in. And also, don't get discouraged. Some meetings you'll have 35 people, some meetings you'll have 3 people. So don't let the numbers discourage you ever, because as long as you're plugging away, people know you're doing it. And they always appreciate that you're doing it, even though they might not appreciate enough to show up at that particular time. They do appreciate it. So just keep plugging away, and make sure you're always honest and truthful, and keep corruption out of your organization. And also don't be it's a very delicate balance between being courageous and being open and democratic versus protecting the organization from, like, people who want to come in and change it for the worst, or what do they call them, Zoom bombers, things like that. So it's a very delicate balance between how you can attract more people versus kind of counter detractors. And
Right.
I would say right now the Democratic Party, at least as far as the ones I know, are doing a horrible job at it. They're doing a horrible job in almost every regard, and they're going down a road. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Our goal as organizers and activists should not be to have the same choir show up to the same church every time. Do you understand what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it is no success if you've got the same 8 or 9 people coming to the same place every time. That's not success. Success is bringing fresh blood in. So we have to reach out beyond our walls, beyond our safety zone, and reach out to people who usually don't participate in these things. People who are hard workers, people who wake up at 6 in the morning, shower, eat a quick breakfast, get their kids to school, and rush to work an 8 or 9 hour day with a half-hour lunch, and then rush back home so they can finish their kids' homework and then maybe watch half hour of TV before everybody has to go to bed. These people are doing this every single day, and that's 95% of the population. And those are the people who we need to reach. And that's one of the problems I see with a lot of organizing these days is we're happy to see the political operatives, the established activists, but we never see fresh blood. We never see fresh blood, and we have to cater what we do to them, to the new people, not to ourselves. And if you want, I can give you a great example of it.
Yeah, please.
I do this thing that you're familiar with that is a social Zoom, right? Since COVID. So it's called Unity Cigars, and we get together on Zoom and just socialize. We just shoot the shit about our days and our trials and tribulations and our fun stuff and our boring stuff. It's not, and we have a lot of the community come to that. Like people who are not political, who have our same political beliefs, but they're not active, right? But you see in their faces, as soon as all the politicos in the group start talking about like KDEM or the ADEM elections or the CDP or, like really internal politics that's super boring for most people. They're like, okay, guys, I got to go to dinner. Bye. And they leave. And that is such a tremendous loss for our movement when we get so into the things that we can just pick up the phone and talk to someone about in 5 minutes and get it done. But we turn our organizing events into these very deep, boring discussions where we lose the people who we're trying to attract. The people who are like our parents, are like our cousins, who are not active, like our coworkers, or just our friends outside the political area. Why are those people not coming in? Why are they going to bars? Why are they going to clubs? Why are they going to fun things and hanging out and thinking that's good and productive for them? But when we're trying to teach them about the future of our democracy, they think it's boring. That's where we're failing the American public, is we are not opening our organizing up to people on the other side of this wall that we've built. We're only catering to our own fire.
And I think another thing, I did want to mention from earlier that, if you are in an organization and you have a meeting where there's only 2 or 3 people, I've actually found that those meetings are way more efficient. You get way more done when there's only, when there's only 2 or 3 people, as opposed to, 20 people all bickering. You get way more done and accomplished. So don't be discouraged by that. Take advantage of the opportunity. But to discuss kind of the social aspect of what we're doing and encouraging people who agree with us, who have busy lives and kind of just want to de-stress, to participate with us. I think that there's several ways, there's several different aspects about that I'm interested in. One is when we have to focus on turning it, if we're going to move in that direction, we have to focus on it being a social outreach group and not a social in-group where it's just you and your friends. And a huge problem online for leftists is where if I don't like you on a personal level, I ban you from the movement. If I don't agree with everything that you say, I say that we can't be allies. If I think that your tactics are incorrect, I have to tear you apart. These things, not only do they not appeal to people, they tear apart, the people who are already involved. And essentially, you're treating it like a friend group when it's a political movement.
Or a safe room, right? You're creating a safe room where you can never be debated with. Everybody smiling. It's almost like Pleasantville, like you're creating like a little utopia for yourself. And that's not a movement. That's a personal thing. And you can do that if you want. That makes a movement not. A movement is a bunch of people who are very diverse. They come from all kinds of employment backgrounds, all kinds of racial, economic, gender, everything background. And they're coming together because whatever they're doing is mutually fun and exciting. And the cause is good and everybody believes in the cause. That's what we're trying to build with the Chamber of Conscience, is something that's fun, exciting, but also fighting for the right causes. And I'm very happy to see that growing.
So talk about the Chamber of Conscience. What kind of activities do you guys participate in? How often are your meetings? What do you do in the Chamber of Conscience?
We have one general meeting a month, and then we do mixers along the way. Back before COVID, our mixers were in person. All our meetings and mixers were in person, and they were really fun. There was always food, and it was a great social event, and a lot of people from everywhere came, and it was great. During COVID, it's been much harder because it's really hard to try to accomplish that through Zoom. But we're doing a good job. Our last meeting, our meeting this month, the last meeting we had an amazing speaker talk to us about Asian hate, stopping Asian hate. So that was really great. And then we had other discussions, but our meetings are very free flowing, very informal. We have an agenda, but we often stray from it. We don't do a lot of business during our meetings. We have a board of directors meetings right before the general meeting that anybody can come to. It's open to anyone. And that's when we talk business and planning and stuff. But during our meetings, people just have conversations with each other. People talk about, seances, or, they talk about their trials and tribulations during the day, or, whatever. It's just a great, and then we try to bring it around to being politically active. And one of the things we accomplished through the Chamber of Conscience in 2020 was, for the first time in Santa Clarita history, we helped put a Democratic candidate in almost every open slot for the elections, from school board to water board to college level stuff to assembly to everything. We filled 90% of every hole with Democratic candidates. And it was the first time ever. Usually in our area, it's just a few Democrats running for certain seats. But we filled it. And in fact, I got the Roosevelt Award, which is I didn't even know this. It's the highest award that the Los Angeles County Democratic Party gives. I got it for my work on that with, I think, 18 candidates running for local office out here. And, that's the kind of work we do. We are starting to wrap our minds around what we're going to do next through the Chamber of Conscience. But basically, what we are is the Progressive Business Association, and we want to counterbalance the incredible influence the Chamber of Commerce has on politics. So that's our mission.
Oh, shut up.
Perfect timing.
Yep. Stupid scam likely from Fresno.
It's all right, bro. My phone's been going crazy the whole time. I shut it off like 3 times.
So essentially, your organization is trying to broaden the influence of left-wing democratic ideas through multiple avenues, whilst at the same time encouraging non-politicos to participate.
Absolutely. Members have to be, voting members have to be either business owners, entrepreneurs, because we are a chamber of conscience, or professionals, certified people who have certifications like nurses and doctors and
Electricians.
electricians, all those things. But we also have just anybody can become just a regular member and join our organization and come to all our meetings. We're open to everybody, as long as they understand we're a very progressive organization, very left-leaning organization working toward those goals for the community.
That's fantastic. How did you go about starting this organization? What process or what things did you encounter that if somebody else in their community, like let's say somebody here in the Antelope Valley, wanted to start something exactly like that, what lessons did you learn, like 2 or 3 that you would have really liked to have known before you got started in creating this organization?
That's a really tough one to tell you what lessons we learned, because our board of directors is an amazing group of people, and we're all very knowledgeable. So we didn't make a lot of mistakes per se. But what I can tell you is, first of all, make sure you get a great website. So our website is actually chamberofconscience.com. So make sure you get a great website. Do your social media good. Set up a great website, and then just start promoting. We had our meetings at local restaurants to support small mom and pop restaurants. So that's always helpful. And also, you got to make sure whatever meetings you have, you publicize them the right way so people can come and they're not hidden from the public, the general public. So you got to go to like the city calendar in like the city of Santa Cruz calendar. You got to put your event on the calendar of the city, and you got to get it out there outside of your normal church per se, you know what I mean? So you get members of the community coming from all over, and we had people driving down from Lake Tahoe to our meeting. And in fact, what we're doing now is we are working on a process or plan to where other cities can open up their own branch of the Chamber of Conscience. And Simi Valley is moving forward slowly but surely to maybe having the second Chamber of Conscience opened up in Simi Valley. So we're working on like a good streamlined turnkey process to help people with that too. But it's very important to not only bring progressive business owners and entrepreneurs together, but get them out of the closet, because they're afraid that if they come out as progressive, they're going to lose business. And we're showing them that it's the opposite. Your business actually grows by leaps and bounds because people are thirsting to give their money to the right business and not give it to the business owner that drives home and has a Confederate flag flying in their backyard. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I've always felt that, we always talk about boycotts on the left. We talk about avoiding Walmart. We talk about avoiding Chick-fil-A. We talk about avoiding Hobby Lobby. We talk about, not doing services with so many groups that it feels overwhelming to a lot of people, where it's like, man, if I can't go to any of these places, I can't do anything. And so they have to like dial it back, or okay, well, I'll choose one of the 8 places that I should avoid purchasing from, and then I'll buy from the others because it's impossible. So I've always felt that it's really important to approach it from the other side in the form of boycotts, creating lists.
I love that.
of approved businesses in some way or another, whether they be lists of Black-owned businesses in your community, whether they be lists of um, co-ops in your community, strong union um, places, lists of social activists or businesses that are owned by social activists. Um, and I think that developing a progressive or a left wing community of business owners and entrepreneurs and professionals, I mean, that creates not only a great influence on the surrounding area from these people with who have some institutional power, which is amazing, but it also would provide me, if I was joining those meetings, or if I was to have a list of the voting members of those meetings, all of a sudden I now know, hey, these are at least some good people where I can put my money. And maybe, if they own a grocery store, when I'm driving through Santa Clarita, I'll go an extra 5 minutes out of my way to make sure that I'm going to that grocery store as
Right.
opposed to Food for Less or somewhere else. And um, I think that that's amazing. And I think if we could do that on as large of a scale as possible, it would really help.
That's what we're working on. In fact, before COVID, we were this close to launching the part of our website where we had all our members' businesses for that kind of that list you were talking about. And then COVID kind of put that on hold. And in our last board meeting, we started that process. And that's something that I took on. And I'm working on that right now to upload onto our website. Like I said, it takes time because I've got other stuff going on, but that's going to be a great resource, and it's also going to boost the club because then people are going to see the benefit in that.
Well, and an aspect that people really don't realize is having places you can go allows you to not shop at places you don't want to.
Right.
You
It
know?
makes it much more organic.
Yeah. I mean, because for a lot of people, they may hate Walmart. They may feel really horrible every time they go, but they just aren't aware of other options. And it's so convenient that they're just like, okay, well, I feel bad. Maybe they'll choose to go through the cashier line instead of the self checkout. I mean, do that if you do go to Walmart. It's better than nothing. But the they feel horrible about it because they know that the company's not good for their community, not good for the workers, not good for influence on political levels. They just have nowhere else to go. And so, doing what you're talking about and what you're doing, I mean, that makes me so happy as a consumer.
Well, you're
As
welcome
a
to our next meeting. I'll let you know when the next meeting. I'll let you know when our next meeting is.
Absolutely.
But the bigger question is, why is Walmart even in our city? Like, how did that decision come about to allow them into our city and just decimate hundreds of smaller businesses in doing so and decreasing the average wage? And who made that decision? Well, part of that process is who obviously is elected to city council and other planning positions, and also who influences them. And one of the biggest influences is that chamber of, we try not to mention their names, and they
Baltimore, the Chamber of Baltimore.
Baltimore, and that's a good one. I'm going to use that one. And I cannot tell you how many LA supervisor meetings I've been to, how many different city council meetings I've been to where they had things they were voting on that were detrimental to the environment, that were detrimental to labor, that were detrimental to women, that were detrimental to students. Okay, and guess who got up? The Chamber of Voldemort. Was it Voldemort or Baltimore?
Voldemort.
The Chamber of Voldemort got up and said, "We are the Chamber of Voldemort, and we have 1,800 members, and we support this piece of crap bill." And the 5 members of the city council or thing check off their box that this massive organization got up. Now, do those 1,200 members know that they sent some representative in a suit to a LA supervisor meeting to tell them that their money that they're paying to their chamber is supporting this anti-environmental law? No, they don't know that. All they know is they're going to their chamber meetings to try to get more business. But that's what we're trying to counterbalance. That's what we're trying to countermand.
That's fantastic. It's the building of infrastructure that supports our agenda.
That's right.
Hang on one second. Let me shut the door.
No problem. I will talk to our wonderful audience and tell them that I met Prophet just a few months ago, and he has turned out to be a very fun person. We've played a lot of Jackbox together.
Stop indoctrinating my my fan base.
A lot of fun conversations. So. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. So you're building this countervailing infrastructure in order to support our beliefs, and I say our beliefs as in more progressive, more left, less individualistic, less, I feel, toxic ideology. And that's amazing work. What other types of infrastructure that don't exist, that exist for the other side, or that exist for the establishment, that you would like to build?
Okay, so we got to countermand their money power. They have a tremendous amount of money power, and a lot of people believe that money corrupts, and that could very well be true. But I don't like to look at it that way. I like to think that you can countermand money with people power. So we have to reach out to people and bring them the average, the people I was talking about being outside of our wall, the people you don't see on our Zooms in and day out, the people who are just home watching TV or trying to feed their kids. Those people, like, just go into your neighborhood and look up and down the street and look at every house and how many people are in there, and they're just not being active. We can get them. Or go or drive by a big business building and look at all the offices in those buildings and look at all those employees who leave work at 5:30 or 6 and just go straight home. Or we can set up some great event for them where they can come and become political, but in a really fun and exciting way, over some food and some wine and some whiskey and some, just enjoyable conversation, maybe some interesting speakers, fun things to do, And
you mentioned whiskey.
That's right, baby. People power is how we counter the power of money, and we need to build that people power. But we can't just say it. The words don't matter. We have to do it in a way where it's attractive to people who are not used to, you and I have a lot of drive to sit through boredom because we really are committed to accomplishing. And actually, those accomplishments for us are fun. That's how we get our enjoyment. I get enjoyment out of, the conviction of the guy who murdered George Floyd, right? That took decades of Black Lives Matter activism, decades and decades and decades of Black Lives Matter type activism to reach that point. I get enjoyment out of that. Other people get enjoyment out of other stuff. And we have to broaden our horizons to bring those people in. And to do that, we have to be imaginative. We have to think outside the box.
If you think about it from like a scientific perspective, it's what kind of things release endorphins for people. And if you think about like the every time somebody does something, they're more likely to do it a second time than they were to do it the first time. And then the second time they do it, they're more likely to do it a third time than they were the second time.
You just gave me a great idea. At the next meeting, we're going to discuss the Kuma Sutra. What is it called? The Kuma Sutra?
Karma Sutra?
You laugh, it's fun.
Yeah, well, hey,
I mean, we're not going to do that, but you have
a copy of that somewhere. I have a copy of that. There it is.
Did I actually call it the Kami Sutra? That was a funny Freudian slip.
Yeah, hey, there's an idea for a book.
The Kami Sutra. That is a great idea for a book title. Yeah.
Yeah. You could talk about social sex. How to have sex in a commune.
I love it. Absolutely.
Hey, I mean, I guarantee you, you'll make sales.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very hyperbolic example, but that's the general idea: is really think of fun, exciting things for your meeting. Don't just bring the same old speakers. Don't just have the same old structure. Mix things up. Get people to tell them about themselves. People love to talk about themselves and say things, that's going on in their lives. Don't just make it about your agenda. Your agenda should be about the people.
Right. And you should, and it's important to highlight those people who are participating. I mean, each person has their own story, has their own journey, has their own opinion, and all of those things are beautiful. And they encourage others. Like, when you see someone talk about who they are and where they come from, you relate to them and you go, you know what? Hey, maybe I don't agree on, issue X, but that person is really similar to me in a lot of ways. And I never saw that before. So maybe I'll vote for them, or maybe, I'll go and attend their meeting. I mean, if they're such a good person, there's no way that they're going to be a part of something that's anti-American or anti, goodness, that's evil. Like, this is a good person. They're not an evil person. They wouldn't be a part of an evil organization. Maybe I'll go check that out, rather than, people fear what they don't know. People fear what they don't understand. And we have to reach out. I mean, what was one of the most important things that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, members of the Black Panther Party all talk about the importance of when it came to Black liberation and the elimination of racism? They talked about entertainment,
food.
They talked about the importance of music.
Music, food, entertainment, absolutely. That is yep.
Malcolm X would say to Muhammad Ali that Muhammad Ali was more important to the movement than Malcolm X was.
Nice. I just got goosebumps.
And that isn't because Muhammad Ali was more intelligent than Malcolm X. It isn't because Muhammad Ali was better at activism than Malcolm X. It's because Muhammad Ali made people inspired in ways other than being black, other than being a Muslim, other than being an activist for civil rights. He inspired, testosterone fueled white guys who wanted to go out and be the underdog and be the antagonist in the ring, because Muhammad Ali was really like cocky and would mess with people. And those people who would otherwise not have any relation to black people saw themselves in Muhammad Ali on a mass scale. And as a result, these people who would otherwise be completely hate-filled had a little ray of sunshine put into their lives because of that man's boxing skills.
Another important thing, humor, comedy.
Absolutely.
Art is very important. Art.
I mean, another example, and to go with the Black Lives Matter or the Black civil rights and Black, ending racism, which is so important in this country. You have Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Richard Pryor, D.L. Hughley.
Bernie has a great sense of humor, bro. Bernie has a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's funny.
But I mean, these people have caused so many more people to change their opinions about ideas than any activist could. And so it's important that we include those elements into our activism. It's important that we include those connections to real world.
And guess
humor,
what's gonna happen?
Humor breaks the ice.
Guess what's going to happen when those novices of political activism come into our movement? They're going to be in an entirely different place on the learning curve. Their language is not going to be the language of feminism. Their language is not they're not going to be where we are. So we have to be educators. We have to be patient. We have to be forgiving, but strong, but forgiving and help people. When I was in high school and when I started college, I had a lot of chauvinistic tendencies. I was much more racist. I was homophobic, all that stuff. And when I say much more racist, I just want to be clear. I believe we're all racist, but it's to a matter of degree. And what's important is we got to make sure we minimize our racism on a daily basis. We have to work on ourselves every day and chisel away at whatever level of racism we have. And that's what I meant by that. So if I started college at a 4, I'm a 2 now. I've chiseled away at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the idea. Is we have to help people get to where we are, and it takes you cannot be cancel culture, bro. You cannot cancel people out that we can bring into our movement and help them. It took me years to get to where I am today. It took a lot of bashing my head up against a lot of walls. So we have to be patient. We have to educate people, and in order to do that, we have to be confident in our own beliefs. When you're really confident in your beliefs and your principles, you don't need to bash it over people's heads. It's the right thing. And then therefore, that just with conversation, just with polite, civil, fun conversation, you can build that mass movement.
Yep. Wow. That spoke to me really. I mean, there was a time when, I grew up, I was a Boy Scout. I was, inundated with, right wing thought. And I was always farther left than those people. But at the end of the day, I was a kid when 9/11 happened. I was in the 5th grade. And then when we went into Afghanistan, I was flying my flag and I was proud of my country for striking back against, as my stepdad would say, Osama bin Lama, right? And I was proud of that. And when we went to the Iraq War, at first I was like, yeah, let's go get them. And then Michael Moore stood up and gave that speech at, I can't remember which awards it was, but he stood up to everyone and said, this is wrong. And I was like, and I had no clue who he was. I was a kid. I had no clue what was going on. But I was like, wait a minute. Murder is wrong. And from there, and then now I'm like an anti-imperialist, right? But had a lot of the people that I see as anti-imperialists now known me when I was a kid, they would have ridiculed me so much that I would probably be a fascist.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have never been able to been moved over, because I would be antagonized all the time about every single one of these positions. And if we engage in that antagonism, we'll never be able to, we would never have been able to move over. And it's not like I was a crazy right winger. Even as a kid, I was accepting of gay people. I was, in a mixed race family. I was in a mixed religion family. I was not a radical right wing guy at all. But when somebody said communism, I would go, ugh. And now I have a much more nuanced opinion. And if a lot of these, radical communists had gotten to me before I learned about socialism, I would never be a socialist. No way. So
yeah, we think that adults are not are more it's really hard to verbalize this, but we think adults are so different than children, but we're not. We all want to learn what's right. It's possible that we just don't know it right now. And I know there's a lot of stuff I need to still learn about different things. Things
Absolutely.
are happening. Like at the end of my name, you see on the screen, I put he, him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that until recently. Even though I've been fighting for LGBTQ plus rights for decades, I've organized protests, I've, rallies. I organized a rally against the Westboro Baptist Church that came to town. And, we had like 300 people out there rallying against them because they were so anti-LGBTQ. And I didn't know. So somebody just told me, hey, Dave, what it does is it shows respect for people who are transgender, and it shows that you understand their pain and you understand their position and you understand what they're going through. I was like, that's a really easy way to do that. That's a wonderful, easy way to do it. Even though, I know I'm a he, him, I don't need to tell anybody, but yeah, you do. You kind of, these learning things we can all have. But right now, there's a certain segment of our movement that uses their anger not for productive change, but to bash people into oblivion. And I think that is the right way to build a movement. That is absolutely the wrong way to build a movement. If you're confident about your beliefs, if you believe your principles and your stance is correct, all you have to do is have a conversation with people. That's all it should take. And it doesn't matter if horrible, bad guys. Now, I'm not talking about actual like Zoom bombers, but if like Republicans come with serious doubts in their minds into your group Zoom or into your meeting room or whatever, that's an opportunity. It's not something
good.
To of. Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, you need to go shake their hands because it may take a year, it may take 2 years, but they may come around. Now, there's another pitfall. The other pitfall is the moderate centrist wing, the establishment wing of the Democratic Party, is doing the opposite now. They only want to cater to Republicans and try to recruit 1,000 Republicans, right, as voters, while they're completely ignoring 100,000 progressives who are staying home and inactive. So they're trading 100,000 progressive activists for 1,000 Republican activists. That's the wrong formula too. You shouldn't cancel people. You shouldn't turn people away. You shouldn't bash people. That's a good rule. But your actual activism focus should be into going into the community and bringing progressive people out of their shells. That's where 90% of your activism should be.
And at the end of the day, you need to fight for what you believe in. Not what you think is the most processed and tested political advantage thing. If you're a genuine human being, that is so refreshing in our system that Trump just appeared slightly more genuine than everyone else, and he won.
Yeah.
And he was
he's a snake oil
salesman. A lying piece of shit on a scale that is unfathomable. But because he spoke off the cuff, there was some glimmer of genuine expression that people were like, "Whoa, this wasn't peer tested."
He was the Bernie Madoff of politics. He's a snake oil salesman, but he's very good at it. And what we need are very good salespeople for our issues. We need people who can really put our issues into simple terms and do it in a nice way where we can both convert people and bring people out of their shells.
Well, and I think too, what it is you have to approach it with confidence, but you also have to approach it with real response. When you see something messed up happen, or when you see something that brings you joy, you shouldn't tamp that down.
You know what
because when you're constantly tamping that down, anytime you do show emotion, it's seen as a gaffe. I mean, when you think about what brought Howard Dean down back in the primary in 2004, was he had the gall to go to list off state names and talk about his campaign and go, yeah. That was as his end. And
yeah, but you know why? Do you know why?
Yeah, because he never showed other because none of the politicians were allowed to show any other type of emotion. So when he broke that,
he didn't break. He didn't break. What he did was, if I was his campaign manager, I would have said, Mr. Dean, that is now our campaign slogan.
Yep.
We're going to do that 10 times a day.
Yeah.
You know?
Own it.
So, yeah, because what happens is the media tries to crush you with stuff that is nonsensical, right? The only way to countermand that is to double down, is to say, F you. I don't know if I can swear on this thing, but to say F you, and that's me, that's who I am, and that's what I did, and I'm going to stand by it. And in fact, that's going to be my campaign slogan. And if he had done that, he would have not only survived, but he would have won. But the problem is, most Democrats don't have the courage to fight this cancel culture, where if you make one little so-called mistake, then all of a sudden you're done. That's bullshit. That's absolute utter bullshit. Our humanity is what.
Embrace your humanity. Embrace
your mistakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We all screw up. Everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate to stubbing their toe and saying something offensive.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to, not eating the right food the right way. Everyone's been there. Like, if you've ever traveled to a different community and they're like, what? You're eating, a fried, thing with a fork? What the hell are you doing? Everyone who's traveled has experienced that, or they've seen other people who have come into their community do that. So, embrace it. Enjoy it. Laugh at yourself.
Don't let cancel culture make you think that you need to cancel yourself. That is the worst thing you can do. Any good poker player knows if someone's bluffing, you call their bluff. And there's a lot of bluffing that Democrats fold. That's the worst thing that's one of the worst traits of Democrats is we fold. As soon as someone bluffs us, raises, we fold. And if you know anything about poker, you're going to end up leaving that table with no money in no time. Yep. So, there are real things, but there are real things. Like if there's crime or actual misdeeds, those are, but I'm talking about nonsensical cultural, social crap that they try to got you on. No, we need strong Democrats who will say, F you, this is about the people. This is about helping marginalized people. So that's not what we're going to talk about. Yeah. All right, Prophet, ask me your last question or whatever.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, with all of this thought process of reaching out, not being exclusionary, building an infrastructure that encourages people to come and join. Where can people go to, or not where can people go? Let me think of the right way of saying this.
How do we do it? Like what's the mentality to get there?
More
it's really
so,
easy to answer.
More so, what's the first step?
Where do you want to be? If someone invited you somewhere, what would you want to see to be there? And then just do that. What do you like? What makes you like? If somebody said, "I have this group and I'm fighting for green leaves," and you're like, "Green leaves? I don't even know what that is. I'd rather watch TV." What would make you want to go to this thing to make leaves green? And do that for your own meeting. Do something fun. do something exciting, do something interesting, and think outside the box, like we said before. And that's the key. Democrats, what they do is they have a lot of cookie cutters. Oh, Democrats have cookie cutters galore, and all they do is in their campaigns, they just do the same boring cookie cutter. If you know why people throw away every campaign lit that comes to their house? Because if you put them next to each other, the only difference between them is the letters and the colors. Everything else is put through the same gosh darn cookie cutter. Why do people not go to campaign meetings? Most campaign things, because it's all just cookie cutter. Yeah. Take those cookie cutters, throw them in the garbage, start thinking outside the box, and do stuff that you yourself would enjoy. That's the easiest way to figure it out. Or ask your friends. What do you enjoy? What would make you like you want to go to this meeting? Ask your kids, ask your parents, ask your elderly parents. You're like, Mom, we're having a lot of trouble getting people over 65 at our meetings. Everybody's young. What do you want to see in a meeting that's fun? And just see what she says and just do it at one of your meetings and promote it that way and reach people out on the other side of this wall, a godforsaken wall the Democrats can't get beyond.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it sounds so simple. It sounds like, the easiest thing in the world. Who doesn't want to have fun at a meeting?
But they're so scared of criticism. They're like, just the slightest cog in the wheel scares the crap out of them. The slightest person saying that's outside the box, just scares the crap out of them. So it also takes courage. It also takes courage.
An important thing that we have to realize is if we don't get it outside the box is going to get crushed by outside forces.
Absolutely. Republicans have no issues doing fun-ass things, man. I went to a Democratic Club meeting the other week. The chat was on lockdown. You couldn't unmute yourself. They had an agenda they were not deviating from. So all you did was sit there and look at yourself on the screen. 90% of the people were on their cell phones.
Yep.
They had a couple of fairly interesting stuff going on, but if they had just been a little bit more courageous and opened it up a little bit more to conversation, to people getting involved and not caring about, oh my God, somebody said the wrong thing. Oh my God, we went outside the box. That's the problem with the Democratic Party. We're being run by a bunch of chicken shit scaredy cats who are afraid of impressions. It's so silly. It's not about that. It's about the issues. Our issues are solid. Green New Deal is solid. Medicare for all is solid. Livable wage is solid. These things are solid. People know that. All we have to do is open them up to be fun and exciting and interesting, and we're done.
Amen. So thank you so much for sharing that. I could not agree more with everything that you've said in the past hour and 20 minutes. I think people really need to hear this, and I hope somebody listens and comes away with a sense of, what, maybe today I am going to go stand out on my street corner by myself and hold up a sign.
And tell people you're there, and they'll come.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much to everyone else who's watching or has watched or will watch. Thank you. I appreciate your time. I know your time is valuable. And both me, Dave, and everyone else who has been or will be on this show appreciates the ear that you're lending to us. So thank you so much.
Congrats on your new show. What is this called? An what is it called? An iPad? No,
A stream.
A stream. Congratulations on your stream. I think you're doing a great job. I think this is what we need. Your format is perfect. Your structure is perfect. It was very easy for me to talk to you. So I see you going big places, man. Great job how you're doing it. And I love your background,
Thank
bro.
you.
Is that like a background you put behind you?
No, this is my closet.
I love it. Between two shirts. I love it. All right, Prophet. I hope to see you soon in one of our social stuff, man.
Absolutely. And, maybe we can do this again sometime. That'd be great.
Anytime you want.
Really appreciate it.
I love hearing my voice, so anytime you want.
Awesome. So thank you so much. And to everyone else, please like, follow, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. And can't wait to see you on the other side.
Make America fun again.
Yeah, make America fun again.